All right, let's sing a nigga. We're going to sing Yom Kippur night. Da 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 moi, da 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 ya da, da 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 ya da, da 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 ayama yama ayama ma da 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 mai da 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 mai ya ma ya de ay dai 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 ay dai 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 ay da dai dai da 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 ay dai 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 ay da dai ay dai de dai 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 da da ay dai dai da de dai 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 ay dai dai da de da 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 ay dai dai da de da 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 ay ay yo de da 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 ma ya ma ay dai dai da de da 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 ma ya de da 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 ma ya de da 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 ay ay yo de da da ma ay ma de da 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 ay da ma ya de da ya da ay da ay da ay da de da ya da ma ay da de da Menachem Okay. It's a new year. A new year of learning. This pasha, it says, "Va'ata kisvu lachem es hashira azos." So learning is a shira. Learning Torah is a shira. It should be a shira chadasha. There should be some kind of a new tzlil, a new light, a new hitorerut, a new awakening in our learning. Even if sometimes we learn stuff that concepts are things that we've seen in the past. Everything should just feel chadash. Everything should feel new. Rabbeinu HaKadosh, the Nachal Novem Kor Chochma says it's asur. You can't asur lizdaken. You can't get old. Obviously, that means obviously everyone should get old. Every day we're getting older, but that tmimus towards when it comes to learning should just be chadash. You should get younger and younger with learning. So we're learning. Leilui Nishmas Bas Yefega Bas Yisrael, Leilui Nishmas Levi ben Yosef. And this week we're learning in memory of Rabbi David ben Chamo. May his neshama have an aliyah, and may his soul rest in peace. Also, thank you so much. Also, we I want us all to wish a big happy birthday. Yossi's birthday was yesterday. And Aryeh's birthday is tomorrow. So there's a lot of birthdays going on over here. L'chaim toivim tichtavim. Did I miss? I'm sure there are more birthdays. I just don't know everybody's birthdays. But anyone else have a birthday this week? Want to get a shout out? Yehuda, not yet. It was the J birthday was yesterday. The Emesdika birthday is soon. Anyone? Okay, you'll get it. Adam Arisha. I have some pages here for those that need. Please open up the daf Shin Hey. Shin Hey. This is something that we've spoken about and stressed many, many times. It'd be an amazing thing. They're going into Shabbos Shuvah, going into the first Shabbos of the year. This would be something that for those that haven't made the Kabbalah yet, they would take this on. This piece is also very much shayach to Ne'ilah, to Tefillah's Ne'ilah. Shalosh Shudis is the Ne'ilah of every Shabbos. Shalosh Shudis is something that when we've spoken about a lot. I told you that, growing up, I'm sure many of us in the circles we grew up in, Shalosh Shudis was completely optional. It was completely optional zach. It wasn't Friday night, Shabbos day. Shalosh Shudis seemed to be optional. And Shalosh Shudis has secrets within it that we need to incorporate into our lives for many, many different reasons, but the most important one is that that's called the Eis Ratzon. If you notice, we only say Vanis Filasi L'cha Hashem Eis Ratzon when we open up the Aron Kodesh on Mincha time. Eit Ratzon. And everything right now we're talking about is Eit Ratzon. It's a time of Ratzon, a time that there's access to something. We have to figure out what that access is. What is that inyan bichlal? Eis Ratzon. So based on a teaching that Rabbi is going to bring from the Bnei Yissaschar, that's going to then tie us into a bunch of other things. I'm not saying that you should, part of tshuva, Rambam says, is Kabbalah al haba. So, you haven't had the first Shabbos yet. So it'd be a wonderful thing, those that aren't yet makpid, to really take on Shalosh Shudis, but to take it on, not because someone told you to take it on after learning about what's beneath Shalosh Shudis. What's the pnimius of Shalosh Shudis?
How about those that are makpid? What's your eight step, like the next step?
Even deeper, stronger. Mazeh. Shia Chadasha. That it should feel like whatever was now was just like the Dodgers in off-season in Albuquerque. That was like, it was like, what do you call that? Before like the major leagues? Spring training, right, spring training. And that's how we keep on going.
The Shalosh Shudis during the long Shabbos, and then the Shalosh Shudis during
Okay, so it's true. There's Shalosh Shudis of winter and there's Shalosh Shudis of summer. It's true. There's also Shalosh Shudis of having little kids and Shalosh Shudis of having older kids. It's true. It's all true. But it's always Shalosh Shudis, no matter how you look at it, right? Okay, let's go inside. L'cha Hashem Eis Ratzon. Eis Ratzon. Yibonu Shleilam should be taking advantage of this Eis Ratzon. Noros matzinu bekisvei HaKodesh al tokef kedushas hazman shel idan rava de ravin. We find throughout this forum so much holy work has been put into the learning. The kedusha of the zman that's called rava de ravin Yehi Rava Kadamach, Yehi Ratzon Milfanecha. Rava means Ratzon. Rava de Ravin, the will of all wills. Uchilshon Azor HaKodesh, Rava de Ravin ishtakach. V'chol dinin miskafyan u'mishtakach re'usa. V'chadu bekula. Rava de Ravin, when that time comes up, all the dinin is miskafyan. What do you think that means? The dinin. Miskafyan. It's like forced over. It's like yeah. Umishtakach reusa. What's found? What I really want. What Hashem really wants of me. Umishtakach reusa v'chadu bekula. And there's an inner simcha, and there's some kind of deep rejoicing in everybody. Nimtza retzona retzonos. V'chol adinin, when the will of will is illuminated, v'chol adinin nichbim v'nimtza retzon v'simcha b'kol. Ve'ad heichan advarim begin. How far, to what extent? Is this Inyan shayach? How far does it reach? Yesh li'lan ma shekosav harav hakodesh Bnei Yissaschar zchus yogen aleinu. Someone asked last week about every month has a certain letter. Every month has a certain tikkun of a midah. Every month has a shevet. Every month has a certain limb that's represented by it. Obviously, when it comes to Adar, we go Ephraim and Menashe, with Adar Aleph, Adar Beis. This is all Torah the Bnei Yissaschar brought down for us in his Sefer Bnei Yissaschar. The Bnei Yissaschar, Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech of Dinov, has a lot of Sfarim, Agar de Kala, Agar de Parka, the Pirka. There was one more that I used to, Derech Pikudecha. He has a lot of Sfarim. The Bnei Yissaschar is the one that goes through each month. So he and he also has a lot of Amarim on Shabbos over there. So what does it say over there in Ma'amar Shabbatot Ma'amar Ches? Shehine bi'er harav HaKodesh Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Rimanov zchus yogen aleinu. You know, one of the reasons I love our Friday morning shiurim is because we just quote so many Rebbes. I love how we just jump from Rebbe to Rebbe, Rav to Rav. So the Dinover, the Bnei Yissaschar, is quoting the Rimanover. And he says like this, why is it called Eis Ratzon? Hatam shezman zehu Eis Ratzon. Why is Shalosh Shudis Eis Ratzon? If I would ask you, if you had to choose what you think would be the Eis Ratzon of Shabbos, what would you think? Kabbalah Shah, Friday night, maybe, yeah. Shezman zehu Eis Ratzon. Why? So he says, this is a very, very, very important and famous Torah of his. Ki aschala sabriya haisa be'or liyom rishon. When did the world begin to be created? What's or liyom rishon? Motzai Shabbos. Sharei kodem vayi erev, vayi chakach vayi voker. Because first came vayi erev. When was vayi erev? It wasn't Sunday morning. It was Saturday night. But there wasn't any zman then. Well, it was. Saturday night is the beginning of the Bria. Shebizman shekodam lo, Allah haratzon livro es ha'olam. In the moments preceding the first initial stages of the creation of the world, what came before Hashem? Kivyachol? Ratzon. To what? To create the world. Al ken. Bechol shavua v'shavua misorer shul haratzon ha'elyon k'mo b'aschala sabriya. Therefore, every single week, this Allah b'rtzono livro sa'olam, that Hashem wanted to create the world, resurfaces. When? Right before He starts to recreate the world. When is that? Shalosh Shudis. Al pizek kosav Bnei Yissaschar. So according to this, the Bnei Yissaschar writes, hey, sha'alo ha'olam nivra yesh me'ayin. The world was created ex nihilo. She'en lecha nisim gedolim yosem. He said, there's nothing greater than when something is created out of nothing. What's greater than that? That's the greatest like me'ala teva there is. Yesh me'ayin, something from nothing. Ume'achar shebechol Shabbos mis'oreh be'osa zman haratzon hakadum. So therefore, on Shalosh Shudis, this gets awakened every single Shabbos at that moment of Shalosh Shudis. So what's in the air right before Shabbos ends? The energy of Yesh Me'ayin, meaning Me'ala Teva Legamre. That's already in the air at Shalosh Shudis. So therefore, the Bnei Yissaschar writes, therefore, Yecholim Yisrael gam ken litpalel al nisim shelo kateva. At that moment of Rava de Ravin, of Shalosh Shudis, there's an opening there of davening for miracles that are above and beyond nature. Av shebeshar zmanim kosher lifol ashiru derkei hateva. Other times, it's not really the Indian, but at Shalosh Shudis, at those moments, it's dafka me'al teva energy. It's yesh me'ayin. Go to footnote Aleph on the page that you have in front of you. Hagon Rabbi Chatzkel Levenstein, the famous Rabbi Chatzkel writes, Hochiach al malas tefillah be'es ratzon. He brought this stronger. He brought this nekuda stronger. This is an amazing thing. He learns it from Bilam. Me'anemar gabe Bilam HaRasha. It says about Bilam HaRasha, ve'yodea das elyon. And the Gemara in Brachos speaks about this. The beginning of the Gemara in Brachos, first few blot, I forget which daf it is. That Bilam had this God knowledge. What did he know? He had da'at elyon. Bilam HaRasha. What was his das elyon? Ubiru. Here it says Brachos Zayin. Melamed shayodea lechaven osa shash HaKadosh Baruch Hu koes ba. Yemach shemo. He knew exactly the moment that the Rebbeinu Shalom Kivyachol gets angry. V'hikshu b'tosfos, halo mavur b'sham b'gemara, shemeshech hazman bonim shlach zamo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu rega. So the Gemara there continues. Tosfos says, wait, I don't understand something. How long Kivyachol does God's wrath appear in a day? Rega. Rega be'apo. What's rega? A moment. Uma haya biyad Bilam lomar bizman katzar kazeh. What could Bilam get out of his mouth? Betirtzu shehaya biyado lomar. What's this word? Kalem. Wipe them out. That's 3 letters. Kalem. Like finish them off. Kalem. Right? Vayechulu. Right? It's finished. Kalem. Umishum ha'chirichim HaKadosh Baruch Hu al amo. Hashem knew that Bilam knew, obviously, that if that rega appears to Bilam, and he'll say the word kalem and malasot, God, for reasons we can never understand, enabled Bilam to have that dat and that koach of a klala that it would work. So what did God do? So what didn't God do in those days? He just didn't get angry. The days of Bilam's access, Hashem Yisbarach didn't get angry. Mincha says, Ami, Zechor na ma ya'atz Balak melech Moav, leman das tzidkas Hashem. Remember Bilam, remember what Hashem did in order to know the tzedakahs of Hashem. But the taich here is not so much about realize how much Hashem was merachem on you. If a rasha like that has the koach in a zman of ratzon to say a word that could curse all of us, so what are we supposed to learn from that? Kal v'chomer. Amur b'Gemara, Amar lem HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael, De'u, kama tzedakos asisi imachem shelo ka'asti b'mei Bilam HaRasha. Know how much tzedek I did with you, that I didn't get angry in the time of Bilam HaRasha, she'ilmalei ka'asti, lo nishtayer misonem shel Yisrael saridu palit. If I would have gotten angry, even for a second those days, there wouldn't be anybody, and Torah Sheba'al Peh wouldn't exist, there wouldn't be anybody to talk to. Why? There wouldn't have been a thing called Yiddishkeit. Lamadnu, she'ilu haya osa rasha motzi teva achaf mipiv be'es za'am. There's a thing called eit za'am, a time of za'am. Had Bilam opened his mouth, put out one word during a zman that's called eit za'am, he would have wiped all of us out. On the flip side, if that's true, on the dark side, then on the light side, in Zman of shalosh, if there's a crack of the heart that opens, there's one niggun, there's one Torah that someone says, something, one moment, that flips that flips the whole thing over. What do we know what it could be poil in the world? If one word of a rasha could wipe out a whole nation, one word of a push the yid with its brach in the heart, who knows what he could do? And therefore this is just another inyan of us taking advantage of this man that's called Eis Ratzon. Now look at Beis, because Beis is referring to the concept that Shalosh Shudas is a time of davening for things that are me'al teva. And I know there are a lot of chevra, not just in this room, but all over the place, that seriously need a yesh me'ayin type of energy, like a bria chadash or legamre type of energy. And they need to daven, they need something to take place that is me'al teva. There are also people sitting in this room that are experiencing things, letova, that are me'al teva as well. So we know these things exist.
On Shabbos, we're not supposed to be davening for ourselves personally, so how would you apply that? if it's a personal need.
Let's see. First, let's read the story, and then let's see if there's if that it could be the question will still be there, but it's and it is a good question.
You're allowed to ask for.
Even if you say for Ruchni, then this footnote's going to even be even harder. You'll see. Pam Yashav Chafetz Chaim Schlusi Yagen Aleinu Seudah Shlishit be'idan Rava de Ravin shalosh. Can you imagine being at the Chafetz Chaim's shalosh? Just the fact that, just read words. Oh, one time the Chafetz Chaim was sitting by shalosh. Imagine what the Chafetz Chaim looked like at shalosh. Crazy, right? Chafetz Chaim sitting shalosh, and he opens up v'siper al Yehudi b'yamim mikedem. He tells a story about a Yidla. Now, I found out later, what you'll see how we found out. This is a Yidla, probably during the years of 1750 or 1740, this story took place. Shenichnas lebeis hamedrash b'yom haShabbos achar chatzos hayom. Comes into shul after chatzos, Shabbos day. Vehechel ba'amiras Tehillim b'dmos shlish u'b'shtapchus hanefesh. And he starts pouring out his heart, crying, saying Tehillim. Be'osa shah bebeis hamedrash echad ma'mispalalim shenisloev libo ma'machzeh shelo einav. Ech shehala shofech dmos kamayim. So there's a Yidla also in the shul. Now that's very strange. Usually Yidden are not, people, at least here, I don't know, maybe you guys are, running to shul after lunch to say Tehillim. I don't think I ever did that yet. It's a new year, who knows what could be. But this Yidla came and started pouring out his heart and crying his heart out. And there was another Yidla in the Beis Midrash sitting there learning, whatever he was doing. And he got so mispal from it that he started davening and crying as well. Okay. B'motzoi Shabbos Kodesh nigash elav hasheni v'shalo. So the guy that was sitting in the Beis Midrash goes to the guy that walked in crying. He said, "Lebchia mazo osa. What are your tears about?" Ki lefi rov habechi ve'adem anira ki b'tzara v'yagon hilcha nimtza. It seems you're in a very difficult place. Evaksha shetegali li matzpunei libcha. Pour out your heart to me. Ulai yeh biyadi la'ozrecha. Maybe I could help you. Patacha Yehudi et sagur liboy ve'amar. So he tells them like this. It's a very emotional story. Bat li beveiti hayoshevet umamtenet ad bosh lezivuga. I have a daughter in my house, and she's been waiting for a shidduch. Ach urak me'achar she'ena pruta metzuya bekisi. But I'm very poor. Ve'en biyadi li'ischayev al nedunyasa. I can't obligate, I can't take on the nedunya. V'hini b'meshech mosa shavua, hineni tarod al hamicha v'al hakalkala. I have to work day and night. V'hineni ro'eh ota leneged enai, and my daughter is not, I don't see her. So I don't see her out of sight, out of mind, kivyachol. Ach be'agia Shabbos Kodesh, but Shabbos comes, I don't work, and what happens to me? Pogesh ani bebiti, and I see my daughter. Nofel libi bekirbi al hatzara gdola. I lose it. I get so depressed. I get so sad when I see my daughter, my older single daughter, sitting there waiting day after day, Shabbos after Shabbos, to have her own Shabbos table. And I only notice it on Shabbos. I block my mind during the week because I know I just have to work, but on Shabbos, Yidla is not working, so this is what's in front of me. Lachein miyad achar seudos Shabbos, noeg anochi lavo b'sharei beis hamedrash. So what do? Every week, again, right after the Seudah on Shabbos day, I come to shul, I come to the Beis Midrash, lishpoch leiv kamayim el Elokim, shiachish lanu Yeshua bekarov. I pour out my heart to Hashem, that He shall bring for us a salvation. So to answer Dov's question, and Yeshua's ha'ara, to answer your question, yeah, he didn't follow protocol.
He wasn't really davening for himself, he was davening for his daughter.
But it's still a tzarech prati.
Not his own.
Huh?
No, of course there's a personal
Yeah?
That seems like a gray area.
Gray area, but I'm saying there's no halacha that says that this is stuff we took on. When the Yidla sees his daughter single, and he goes and he cries over her on Shabbos afternoon, that's what he should have to say Mechila for on Yom Kippur.
Yeah, for sure. But it's not like he was there davening that he should become
nachon, and therefore it
that
could be a little
be
bit gray.
But he's davening for plural. Sheichishu lanu Yeshua. You're allowed to daven for Am Yisrael.
No, you're just, no, it's good what you're saying, but that's not what he's saying.
Isn't the reason why we don't daven for personal things because it will be matried you on Shabbos and it'll take you out of
Yeah.
If a person's already tarud,
Exactly.
the person's already...
Nachon. On Shabbos, we're supposed to go into the world of Kol Melachtecha Asuya. We learned that many times, right? Kol Melachtecha Asuya. Everything's taken care of. But when you're a human being and you're an Abba and you see your daughter, and I bless us all to have the privilege of marrying off our children to the zivugim hagunim, mamash in the right time, and it shouldn't be that they have, it shouldn't be a situation like this. And that's what you see in front of you, then it snaps you out of kol melachtecha asuya and malasot, and to a certain extent, we'd rather be people like that than oblivious. Now, to go to Yeshua's statement, is it ruchni? I think it's the most ruchni thing in the world. Most ruchni thing in the world. So Nana Sheni v'Amar. So the guy that hears this story says, "Wow, afani yeshli bebeisi ben elem chamudos v'yira shamayim." You're not going to believe it. I got a boy chick at home, full of yirat shamayim. Also, v'afani eini matzliach lavios lebrisa shidduchin. I haven't been able to find him a shidduch yet. Why? Heyot ve'apruta kolta mikisi. I got no gelt either. Al ken haiti mi'a'et shenishtadech beinenu. How about my son and your daughter? Ve'achen, השidduch yotza min hakoach el hapoal, that shidduch came to be, ume'osa hazivug noldu arba'a achim gdolei olam. 4 giants in Torah were born. 2 of them are very known. Shnayim yeduim mehem, halohem ha'agon hakadosh ba'al Ketzot HaChoshen. The Ketzos. This is the Heller family, the famous Heller family. And his brother, Agon HaKadosh, Baal Kunches Osveika, Zichat Tzaddik Kodesh Livrach L'chaim Haba. And that's why I was able to figure out, just because of this is like, mid 18th century, a bit more towards the northern part of the 18th century, that's when this story took place. Vayamosif Chafetz Chaim. So the Chafetz Chaim would add, when he would tell this story, Ki lefi hanog be'osam yomim, harei lo haya shayach b'derech hateva, shezivug ze yagia lidei gmar b'chitov. Al pi hateva, these 2 were not going to get married and definitely not find each other. Elazos amda lehem tefillah me'umka deliba ubifrat bizman na'alazeh. From Chatzos on, basically, from the time that you can daven Mincha, right? From the Zman of Mincha Gdola, from then on, that's when the air has this Allah b'rtzona livros ha'olam, this yesh me'ayin energy, this me'al hateva energy. So therefore, many of us have a lot of things that could, like al pi teva, look, face it, al pi teva, is there a way out of the mess that Am Yisrael's in right now? Al pi teva?
No.
So therefore, shalosh shuvis has got to be shalosh shuvis. And all other inyanim in our lives that bemet al pi teva, it brings us to yeush, it brings us to despair. But shalosh shuvis is vanis filosi lecha Hashem eis ratzon. You had a ratzon to create the world yesh me'ayin around now. So all the things of yesh me'ayin in my life right now, this is the time, eshbach lefanov sichi, this is the time to pour it out. It's an amazing inyan. It's an amazing inyan. I want to stop here. There's a lot more we could do. But I just want to stop here to give us that nugget, to go into Shabbos. This is like, if you want to take Lamaisa or something, it's the first Shabbos of the year. There's a lot of different things that we could do. There's a lot of different Torahs and words we could say. And it's even though it's one of the shortest parshas, is it the shortest one? Yeah, I think it's the shortest parsha, right? Mm-hmm. You have 2 mitzvahs in the parsha, though, even though it's the shortest parsha. Last Shabbos didn't have any mitzvahs. There's 2 mitzvahs in Parshas Vayelech. It's Moshe Rabbeinu's last day in the world. There's a lot in it. It's a very, very sweet, deep parsha. And there's so many different inyanim that'll be, and you have to pay attention. Shabbos Shuvah, that you say all the inserts, right? Whoever's chazan on Friday nights has to make sure. He has to say Hamelech HaKadosh She'en Kamo, Hameniach La'amo, right? In Magen Avos. There's a lot of things we could feel like, okay, now I have to pay attention to this. But I think that if you could start off the year with saying, Shalosh Shuddis is going to be on, even if it's not the way I grew up, even if it's not the way that my minhag in my home. Yesh al mi lismoch that there's an inyan of a Kabbalah and shalosh shidduch, right? It's not like yesh. That's not yesh me'ayin. That's al pi derech hateva. We have an inyan, of shalosh, of Seudah Shlishit, of shalosh seudos. And of course, it's difficult when you have little kids running around. Of course, meaning make it work for you the best that it could work for you. Just make sure that it lasts. Make sure that it's a Kabbalah that then lasts throughout the whole year, because then the next Shabbos Shuvah is one of the most mysterious Shabbos of the world that are between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. It's a very mysterious Shabbos, because only on Sukkot you start to do cheshbon avonos, right? Rishon HaCheshbon Avonos. It's like only on Sukkot does the tally again begin for, am I a good boy or a bad boy this year, right? So if you already know, like I'm setting myself straight towards the rest of the year. Yes, my family will be like, oh, your dad's having a midlife crisis, whatever it is. Let that be what your children experience as a midlife crisis. Yes?
Yeah, this came up last Shabbos when Ratzon was over. We were doing Seudah Shlishit and tapping into all this. In general, we do try to. But like I was getting nervous, and he saw him like, he's like, what, you're getting nervous over the 7:16, like to run tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah, like we're gonna have to wrap up the show, And he essentially, what I got from him was, no, continue Seudah Shlishit. This is more important than davening Maariv with the Mincha. I'm not saying there isn't a way to make that work, but just like that, it was a practical thing. It was impossible for us to make this work, and I know this Indian comes up like with some of us as well. You're in the zone at this holy time. It may be shayach to stay with it, even at the expense of running to make Maariv.
Is that the psak?
Hold on. Two things. One, you set yourself up for something. You have to make sure you come to tomorrow's Shabbos Shuvah drasha. Because there's an inyan that's kashur very much to what you just said, based on a fascinating Gemara that we're going to see one line in it. Well, there's only one line of Gemara in the Shir. That's Aleph. And it's a very important point, also right before Yom Kippur. And we'll explain that tomorrow, Bezrat Hashem. Two, I don't say I'm guilty. I'm saying I've been holding like that for many, many years. And there's been an attempt, and hopefully this year maybe we could do it. Yosef Aaron was pushing this last 2 years to do Rabbeinu Tam, Maariv, and Motzei Shabbos, especially in the winter. Mm-hmm. Especially in the winter, it's crazy. So thank God, at least here we already put Mincha earlier by half an hour. Mincha is now 5:30, so it helps a little bit. But I learned what you just said many years ago, and it's not bedafka to try to get a ptor out of davening Maariv, which is going to be part of what we're going to be learning tomorrow. It's exactly that, this inyan. Rava de Ravin is not something that that's not what's going on. But the most ideal way would be is that a bunch of chevra are holding the same inyan, and they're saying, none of us are 3-star Yidden, right? None of us are going on a date, checking our watch to see if there's enough time passed to be Yotzei the date. So none of us are 3-star Yiddelach, hopefully. None of us. So there should be, I hope, like I'm going to try to push it again this year when it starts to get earlier and earlier, because it really is an inyan. I mean, for a long time, there were enough chaver that would come up for shalosh shudis, and we kept it long, and we just davened in my garden, shalosh shudis. It's funny. A few weeks ago, someone came to my house, asking, and we were in the peak of shalosh shudis. It was embarrassing because he was visiting, and he came over to ask me what time is Maariv. And I'm sitting there, Bnei Yissaschar, right? I was like, it's now. So he looked at me. I'm like, go, right? It's true. It just shows how delicate that zman really is, and that's the truth. It's a very delicate zman, very, very delicate zman, that we have to be aware that, like Rav Sutton, who is very sensitive, very, very sensitive to so many things that are more sensitive and delicate in Yiddishkeit. These are inyanim that you can't, if you're feeling like this, going like this every 2 seconds. Yesh sham baya. Now, if you know, I would just say like this to at least sound a little from. If you know lechatchila, that's what's going to be, you better make sure you daven earlier, Mincha. And therefore you start your Seudah earlier, meaning if it's going to be that you lechatchila know you're going in, you're washing mamish by shkia, right? Then you're setting yourself up, right? So you have to be a chacham einav berosho. You have to know where you're at. You have to really know where you're at. Be'emes la'amito. So it's a very important thing. So Chevra, I want to give us a bracha.
I could just add, my son, or Kohanim, right? So my son, when he was growing up, had always this problem, and he'd never get to Birkas Kohanim on time, in davening. He was davening. And I kept telling him, there's a simple start davening before the tzibur. You'll get there at the same time. No, there has to be a better answer. He asked Rav Kimchi, and he says, I'm going to take you to my Rav in the
Rav Nevinza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he listens to him and he says, you have to start davening early. What you said now, which is what we do in our house, go to the early 1:30 minute.
Yeah.
And you can start Shabbos Shuvah. And then you don't have to be worrying. I only have 10 minutes for...
It's either early or try to get a chevra that are there.
Unfortunately, that's much harder.
No, but I don't think it's as hard by us. And by one of our, and like Yosef, I give him, he begged me last year. He begged me. I didn't want it to become a thing that we're going to have to run around and beg people Friday, make sure, and then it becomes like a tircha. Like the whole thing becomes a tircha. But I think it will only happen when we learn deeper into shalosh, and there'll be a ratzon by people to really take it on in a way like this, and that way it'll be much stronger. So I give us a bracha to go into this Shabbos Shuvah with a new excitement toward shalosh, and take advantage of this man called Rava de Ravin. Now, why is it so important to learn this now, Shabbos Shuvah? Because obviously the Rava de Ravin kaful 800 million is coming up. And that's the Rava de Ravin of the Shabbos of all Shabboses, which is Tefillas Ne'ilah. And therefore, I believe, like with B'emunah Shlema, that we entered into certain gates this year of very serious and strong and passionate tefillah, a makom of tefillah, a vision of who we could be. We each got a little vision of who we could be, the way we stood before Hashem on Aleph Tishrei, Beis Tishrei, continuing Beis Hashem, Gimel Tishrei, today's Dalet Tishrei. Believe in that vision, Chevra. That is the real us. The rest of the year is not really the real us. How we showed up and how we entered the gates is actually the real us. That really is us. That's the vision. So believe in that vision. And Be'ezrat Hashem will go weiter b'simcha v'tuv levav. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos.